So we're returning to the world of Playmates here with Star Trek The Next Generation, Shuttlecraft Goddard. Now, I did do some research on this, and the Goddard isn't particularly different to any other Type 6 shuttle assigned to the Enterprise D. But it does appear in a couple of quite well-known episodes, and perhaps most notably, it's the shuttle that is given to Scotty as compensation for the fact that he loses his own ship, the Janolan, in rescuing the Enterprise from a Dyson sphere. So the Goddard actually leaves the Enterprise with Scotty, and I don't think we ever see it again after that, basically. Apparently it does appear in beta canon in some other stories. Goddard is apparently named after the inventor of liquid jet fuel. So, you know, that these naming conventions on Star Trek are rarely accidental or sort of throwaway. There's generally a sort of a deeper reason behind them. So, this particular craft features dual light-up thrusters, 2 authentic Star Trek shuttlecraft sounds, phasers and impulse engines, holds a 3-person crew, and has bonus technical blueprint included. Or it may not do. Actual sounds from the Star Trek TV show. Now, I think it's quite a sexy little shuttle. We've got the typical I can see you nacelle arrangement there for warp speed. So they're not the fastest. In fact, I think Geordi said to Scotty this wasn't the fastest shuttle ever, but it's got a sort of reasonable range on it. You know, it'll do what shuttles are supposed to do, which is shuttle people about the place. So very sort of standard Playmates packaging. Takes 3 AAs. It says have a little look on the back and see what it says. This may give us a bit of information here, but I did do some independent research first. So we've got buttons on the top in the standard Playmates fashion, phasers, thruster activation. Press the activation buttons to fire phasers, yes, and light up thrusters and rev up the impulse engines. Cargo areas support crew seating at the back, rear cargo hatch, light up thrusters, reel rolling recessed wheels. Okay, so it's got wheels. So again, it's one of these ones where they rigged it so you can just sort of move it along the ground. Control panel, pilot's control chair, Starfleet safety strap. So I think this is going to be quite similar to the runabout that we looked at a couple of weeks ago. Main viewport, phaser apparently is there. Open the rear cargo hatch to load cargo pallets. Oh, it's got a cargo pallet. Okay, so there's a little bit of extra play value here. It's got a cargo pallet, or take on extra crew members in the same fashion. Okay, so let's read. I'll read from here. Shuttlecraft Goddard, USS Enterprise NCC-1701-D. Shuttlecraft Goddard Type 6 is the latest and most advanced shuttlecraft in Starfleet. Designed as a short-range transportation vehicle, the shuttlecraft can accommodate up to 3 crew members and 2.75 metric tons of cargo. The shuttlecraft is used when highly volatile material too unstable to be transported by the transporter. The shuttlecraft has 2 1250 millicochrane warp engines that can be converted upwards into 2 2100 millicochrane engines. Millicochrane is a measure of warp field strength, if I remember correctly. Equipped with 2 825 millicochrane impulse engines. Why would that be an impulse engine measurement? I don't know. Perhaps I'm wrong about that. This shuttlecraft can sustain warp 1.2 for 48 hours, and when upgraded can sustain warp 2 for 36 hours. That is pretty slow. 8 D5557 hot gas RCS thrusters give this advanced design its high maneuverability. Armament for the shuttlecraft is supplied in the form of 2 Type 4 phaser emitters. Power for the shuttlecraft is supplied by 3 Sarium Crelide storage cells. So, interestingly then, unlike the runabout we looked at, there's no warp core on this shuttle. It's basically powered by batteries. It's like the EV of spaceships. So I guess its range is limited by virtue of its energy capacity ability. You know, it's you know, if it can't store any more energy than that, then it can't keep going for any more than that, which kind of makes sense. And these are small things. These are like pickup trucks for the Enterprise. You know, they're no bigger than that effectively. So let's have a look at the state of this one, because I haven't yet. So we have packaging, which is nice. And sensible. Let's have a look. All right. Interesting. Can't decide if that's my lighting or it's just that little bit grayer than you might hope for. Oops. Ooh, hello. Okay. I have instructions, and I have a cargo pallet. There is the rather beige cargo pallet. That's got to be the right colour, because that can't possibly have, unless it's just generally aged into a slightly different colour, but I'm surprised it's not brighter. I was expecting brighter somehow. I don't know quite why, but now do I have a technical blue? Oh, there's something else in here. There is, it looks like stickers. There might be a sticker sheet in there. But do we have a technical blueprint? I think perhaps we do not have the technical blueprint. That's a bit of a shame. That was very, very close to being fully complete there. But perhaps not quite. I'm just, never say never. Let's just have a quick, oh, hello. Even more stickers. Lots and lots of LCARS stickers there, some of which have been applied, some not. Come on, I can't believe, I'm surprised, given that the stickers and so on are present, that the blueprint isn't. That does surprise me a little bit. But let's have a look. Let's just have a closer look at the sheets I've already pulled out, because maybe it's lurking in there. So we've got some stickers. And we've got a typical sort of Playmates. So in fairness to the cargo module, it looks like it was supposed to have quite a few stickers applied to it. So yeah, it's definitely supposed to be. There's quite a lot of configuration on this one actually. They've obviously gone to quite a lot of effort to you know, to sort of allow you to detail it up quite a lot. But I guess somebody somebody must have given up halfway through or something on this one, on this particular occasion, because we haven't got all those stickers applied, of course. And I rather suspect that it's a little bit too late now to be applying them, because this is rather old, and this does date from 1992. So this is very old. This is over 40 years old. No, sorry, over 30 years old now. Which actually puts it quite early in the Playmates range. It's stock number 6101, if I hadn't mentioned already. Playmates seem to like the Goddard because they do it in several different sizes. So we've got a broadly used up sticker sheet there, and I'm wondering if that's is actually for this, because generally speaking, you only get the one sticker sheet, to my knowledge. And oddly, we've got another smaller instruction sheet there, but no technical blueprint, I'm afraid. So I'll have to disappoint you on that front, unless someone's got it lurking in here. So here we are, slightly dusty, but none the worse for wear, it would appear. I would like to test the buttons just on the off chance. What I think I might do is give this one, give her a little bit of a wipe down, pop some batteries in, then we'll have a closer look. And as if by magic, I'm back. So, yeah, it's working. It was, well, it probably still is quite dirty, but it's working. That's it. That's its moving along sort of noise. Let's just kill all the lights. I have to say, the battery compartment was hilarious. The battery compartment is in the ceiling of the ship, so you have to have quite a good degree of manual dexterity to actually get the batteries into it, because you have to go through the hatch to be able to get the batteries in. So it's slightly challenging. and that's phasers. So that's it's pretty solid sound effects. It's pretty solid sound effects. Oof, sorry, that was very squeaky. So this is the hatch. There are gags that could be made here, but I'm not going to do that. So as you can see, it's a typical shuttle ramp, and I guess the idea is that you would just sort of slot the cargo in there like that. So this is the battery compartment here, as I was saying. So I fully expected it to be somewhere not there, basically. So if I pull that up, I'm not actually sure if that can't possibly need a battery. Oh right, okay. You just sort of pull the hatch. It's quite good though, because you can actually see all the way inside the down of the shuttle, all the way down to the sort of the pilot's chair at the front. And I can see there are sort of bench seats either side here, and you can flip the benches down, and then you get the places for additional people to be seated in the back there. So it does kind of do what it says on the tin. You could get other figures in the back there, and it's quite a generous scale. I've got Worf here on standby, as I often have, even though his legs are ridiculous. So I'm guessing that Worf will happily sort of get in there if we can manoeuvre him enough, and possibly even sit down. But that battery box is slightly in the way of getting people in there. I'm not entirely sure they really thought that one through, but in theory, Worf is sort of lurking within there. Yeah, a little bit of a struggle, I guess, but that is clearly what it's designed to do. I mean, the funny thing about it is that, as with any other toy, you could fit a lot of other stuff in that sort of space. You could put toy cars and all sorts in there if you really wanted to. So, the shuttle could transport all sorts of things around the house for you. Now, one thing I'm not quite sure on yet is, how do you get into this front compartment? I thought this little thing on the top there might have done something clever, but it doesn't. It's just a flip up. So they've obviously applied some console stickers on the front here, but there's loads of space either side for more console stickers to be popped on there. So you could clearly sort of do that, and just like the runabout, obviously Worf would sort of squeeze himself in there. I quite like the sort of the turnaround chair. That's a nice little detail. The fact that you can sort of spin it like a desk chair. I guess this one's benefits from the fact that it's got more free space behind it. And you can flick that all the way back up, so Worf can actually get his legs in there, tuck his elbows in, and then that goes down there like that, and we'll just sort of clip on the front. So I mean, it's nice. It's a nice attention to detail that they've got sort of restraints. I'm not sure how show accurate that is, because I can't remember that they ever really sort of wore seat belts in the shuttles, although they would have been advised to. In fact, I think the Orville even made that gag once in an early Orville episode, as a sort of almost as a plot point. So, but yeah, I mean, that works as a concept, and I have to say I like the look of the shuttle. I think it actually sort of scales very well with the figures. I'm not. The colour on this is kind of odd. I mean, when I look at it on the screen, it looks whiter than it does in real life. It looks a little bit beige, but then that's probably not that unreasonable. But let me know what you think in the comments, whether or not you think they got the colour right, or if you think mine's actually off-coloured, which is always a possibility. But it's got electronics. It's got a bit of sort of cargo capacity. It's squeaky, but it does roll. It's quite smooth plastic. It's one of these ones where I kind of wish that they thought about where kids would have held on to it to fly it, because when I was little, I would want to fly things. And I remember that I could always grip my X-wing from the back quite happily and sort of whiz it around or grab it on the neck. But this is so chunky. I don't know. I mean, I suppose you could hold it by a nacelle, but then I'm not sure how strong the nacelles are. You know, that doesn't feel like, to me, like it would actually support that much weight for that long, because I think there's actually fresh air. Yeah, there is. There's fresh air between the nacelles and the rest of the shuttle. So if I put my fingers there, you can probably see that my fingertips are kind of showing through there. So they're only on two little struts, which is good in the sense that it means they're away from the main body of the ship, which is probably as it should be. But nonetheless, it does mean that that's a bit of a vulnerability as a toy, and a kid could easily pull those off, and then the electronics are dead. So that's a bit of a downside. They've obviously put some of the decals on, which is nice, and I suspect, you know, you could pretty it up quite a lot more, because obviously we've got all of these that are still left that never got put on, at least internally. So I think it's a fun little toy. It's so smooth. I don't know. I mean, I suppose that's fine, but it just means you can't grip it. You know, it's just odd like that. I just find that from a play value point of view, maybe they thought the kids would just roll it around. I don't really understand the logic of that. But interesting. But you know, it was, as I say, I think being able to use it with other figures from other ranges, of course, which you would have been able to, would have been an advantage. And you could have done like crossovers and all that sort of stuff, you know, and it would obviously be able to, you can pretend it can land on planets and things, and it's a nice sort of aerodynamic-y sort of shape. I mean, obviously it's not really a lifting body as such or anything like that, but it's got some nice curves. Let's put it that way. It's got some nice curves. I do appreciate that it looks decent, and it's less like a flying box than some of them are, because some of the shuttles are guilty of being very, very functional. You know, whereas this one is supposed to be one of the sort of the more useful utility vehicles that the Enterprise has got in the shuttle bays. So, you know, it's good from that point of view. So that's about all I've got to say on that one, I think, really. Yet more to come, of course. Not quite finished just yet. Not quite sure what I'll do next week immediately, but I have got another Playmates Enterprise D coming. It's not in the best of nick, but there's a reason why I got it, and I'll explain that to you as and when it arrives. So cheers for now.